Oh
So,
God, don't mess with my teddies.
welcome to Tairimo Boys Podcast. I'm your host, Cody. With me in second chair is the boy who's always crying in the rain. It's Jeremy.
Gotta get those feelings out.
With me in third chair is nobody, because Ryan's computer's in the shop, and hopefully he's back next week.
Fingers crossed.
Slowest computer repair shop people in the world. Ryan literally made that joke with us,
Yes, he
taking
did.
their time. Today, we're going to be doing a unique thing, and we're going to be doing a new segment called Gamer Boys, where we review video games, just me and Jeremy. We don't expect this to be a common occurrence because we do more of a movie and TV show channel, but today we're going to make an exception.
A good exception at that.
So, today we're going to start off our brand new series by reviewing a certain indie hit game, Risk of Rain 2. So, a little bit of history about me and Jeremy and Risk of Rain. 10 years ago, when me and Jeremy used to live near each other, Jeremy would regularly come over and we'd play the original Risk of Rain on LAN. The first game, it was kind of a hidden gem type situation. Not very many people played it. Me and Jeremy, we played it, we enjoyed it a lot, and we thought that was the end of Risk of Rain. Years later, they announced, hey, they're going to be making a sequel, and it's going to be in 3D. I think Jeremy's the one who saw that and told me about it, and we both came to the general consensus of, yeah, this game's not gonna fit in 3D. It's gonna be awful.
Hmm.
Well,
Boy, were we wrong.
that I don't know how, but they got the formula right. They got everything right. The game transitioned well into 3D for the most part, with the most part being that stupid lava worm, which sucks in the second one, and they just need to be removed from the game.
Get it out. Get it out. Vent. We hate the lava worm.
I know it's iconic. In the first game, it was kind of it worked better in the first game because the first game was like 2D. It was jumping like all from the top of the screen to the bottom, but it doesn't work very well in a 2D environment. And they had to change it like a lot. And it still doesn't work. Like originally, it was jumping all over the place, but it wouldn't hit the player, so they changed it where it stays close to the ground. And now it doesn't do anything.
It's just there to be annoying, especially when you have to fight two of them at one time.
So we always do the mountain challenge, Jeremy. If you can't beat the mountain challenge, you're not gonna beat the next level.
True that. Go big or go home. Balls to the wall or nothing.
So, what this game is, well, let me give a little bit of backstory on why we're reviewing this. So, a couple weeks ago, I got in a mood and started playing Vampire Survivors. For anyone who doesn't know, that's like the 2D game where you're playing like a Castlevania parody character and waves of enemies come at you. They drop gems when you kill them, and you constantly upgrade your weapons. Well, I kind of started realizing like this game is like really, really, really easy. So I went and started discussing it in the community, and I saw a review that was perfectly spot on. The review basically said this game is basically baby's first Risk of Rain.
Okay, I can see it.
So I was like, why the hell am I playing this? How do you go? I went and just started playing Risk of Rain 2 again. So just to continue back our history with this, whenever Risk of Rain 2 entered early access and came out, I looked at it because we still had the idea in our head that it was going to be a garbage game. And it was like lit up with people saying this game's amazing. They were doing some special deal with it where it was like buy one, get one free. So, of course, I was going to buy one anyway. And guess who my number two person who got one free was?
Yay! When Risk of Rain 3 comes out, I'll get you.
But yeah, we played it, loved it a lot, and here we are a few years later still talking about it.
Still playing it.
So for anyone who doesn't know what the game's about, it's a lot like Vampire Survivors, where you're getting items, and the game's like all about getting items and doing and killing enemies with it. It is a lot different from it because essentially what happens is you pick a character. Normally in Vampire Survivors, the character you have, they have set amounts of stats and they have a starting weapon, but any character can get that starting weapon from leveling up. Risk of Rain 2 is different though, which you select a character and the character has a specific set of moves that they use. Like Commando, his normal attack's gonna be shooting his dual submachine guns. He's got a right click attack where he shoots a more powerful blast. Then all the characters have like a kind of an alt ability and a utility ability. Commando does a roll, and for his alt, do you remember what his alt is?
Mm, no, I don't. I haven't played Commando in a bit.
Yeah, I don't remember what his is, but I know the artificer has a flamethrower ability, and I usually play the robot. What is it, multi?
Yep.
And his R lets him switch between two main weapons, but
Engineer for me all the way.
no sharpshooter.
I just started playing Sharpshooter, and I'm really enjoying them.
That was the easy character in the first game.
Yeah, I love Sniper in the first game.
Yeah, you've got your character. Each one has unique abilities. Then you get thrown on the map. The map has chests all over the place. There's a certain map rotation. The first map is always going to be a pool of a select amount of maps. Then once you go to the next ring, there's another set of maps. So it all loops back around. What happens is enemies spawn depending on what type of map you're on. They drop money and experience whenever you kill them. You can use the money to buy items out of kind of a triple item vendor, and there's also chests scattered all over the map. The size and cost of the chest depends on what the quality of item you can get, and all the items are completely random. There is. I'm just gonna make up. I'm gonna estimate numbers here. If I remember, there's about 20 white items, which are commons, 20 uncommon items, which are green, 20 legendary items. I'm saying it out loud. There's about 20 of everything.
Pretty much.
20 legendary items that are red. Then there's orange equipment items, which kind of add another active ability. About 20 of those. Then you've got lunar items. Lunar items are kind of like double-edged swords, and you've got to use lunar coins to get them. One lunar item might make your equipment item have a 50% less cooldown, but's the key word here. Your item will start activating automatically anytime it's off cooldown, so you don't get to choose when you want to use it. Or maybe another item that turns all your health into shields, so suddenly all your healing items are worthless, but your damage is doubled.
Lunar items are a choose your poison type of thing.
There's only certain poisons you really want. Now, a DLC came out, I think it was like a year or two ago. Oh, what's it called? Denizens of the Void?
Sounds about right.
That's close. It's Void related, I know that. And it added a new type of item called corrupted items. And what the corrupted items are is it's basically a select items from all the other pools except for the lunar pool, but the effects are completely different. The most useful corrupt item is the corrupted fungus upgrade. So the normal fungus, it's a common item. Whenever you stand still, you're healing like I think 2% of your health every second. And in this game, you don't want to stand still, especially whenever it gets later into the game. So
Unless, of course, you're engineer and you're laying down the
it's commonly known as the engineer's item because all
heat.
his centuries get all of his items. So and the century can't move unless you get the crappy moving turrets.
Oh yeah, don't get those.
So it's really good on him. But the corrupt version of the fungus, it changes it where whenever you're sprinting, you heal. And sprinting is something you're always going to be doing. So there's that. But some of the other items are kind of hit and miss. Like one of the most useful items in the game is the tri-tip dagger, which adds a bleed effect. The corrupt version of it is called the needle tech, and it kind of turns it into like a double-edged sword. If you're in a long fight, you want the tri-tip dagger, but for shorter fights where you just want the burst damage, you want the needle tech. Then there's like direct downgrades you don't want, where you turn your teddy bear into a cooldown item.
Oh
So
God, don't mess with my teddies.
yeah, so the teddy bear item it gives you a percent chance to not get hit. Like anytime an enemy hits you, there's a chance that it'll just completely negate the damage. Well, the corrupt version of that is it changes it to a cooldown item where I'm just making the number up here is like every 4 seconds you'll negate the first hit you take. Which if you got a bunch of the teddy bears, you'd rather have the percentage chance over the cooldown chance, especially if you get hit twice in a row. So DLC items are kind of hit and miss. The reason I kind of derailed myself, started talking about the items, is the items are the important thing. Your character's got a set amount of skills, and they scale up a little bit with damage as you level up, but the big thing's going to come from your items. All the items you get are random, so that can add difficulty if you're getting trashy items, like if you're getting a bunch of really niche speed items, which tends to happen a lot.
Makes for a short run.
So you want to be getting good items and you want to be risk rewarding, using 3D printers in order to get better items.
And always taking on the challenge of the mountain.
Yep. But explain the game a little bit more. The game's essentially on kind of a invisible timer, both an invisible and a visible timer. So the idea is when you're selecting your character, you select a difficulty. The easier difficulty, it tunes down the timer difficulty. If you got a harder difficulty, it speeds it up. As the time goes on and on and on, the game gets harder and harder, spawns harder enemies with more modifiers and a higher quantity. So the idea is you want to get overpowered as fast as possible before you get overwhelmed. Like I mentioned with the maps, what you do, you've got a small map to explore, get items. You got to find the teleporter on every map and teleport. Once you activate the teleporter, it starts an event where you just stay in the circle and a boss spawns along with enemies until you charge up the thing 100%, which is really the challenge of the maps. Eventually you can loop around back to the first level, but of course it'll be later on in the game, or you can go and challenge the final boss. The Void DLC also adds another optional boss you can do that ends the game, and there's also obliterating for lunar coins.
And your skin.
You got to be playing on Monsoon though.
Oh, yeah. Monsoon or nothing, by the way.
Yeah. So, just some advice for the people at home. If you're going to be playing the game, start on the drizzle difficulty, which is easy. Work your way up to the medium difficulty. Then, once you're comfortable with everything, just play it on the hard difficulty. The big thing is you gotta learn the items, and that's gonna be my biggest criticism of the game. There's a lot of information that you need to use a wiki for about the items. For instance, we were talking about the teddy bear earlier. It tells you. I don't remember if it tells you in game or at the very least I think it tells you in game that it's got a 15% chance to ignore any hit that hits you. So theoretically speaking, you just need to get 7 of these to make yourself invincible, right? Well,
Wrong.
what the game doesn't tell you is the first one's 50%. Then the second one's like 11%. Then the third one is some other lower percent. It's got a diminishing percentage. If I remember right, you need to have like a million of them to have like a 90% chance to ignore on hit.
Stack those teddies, boys and girls. Stack them.
Even then, you still want like 20 or 30 of them. But yeah, the game doesn't tell you that. Meanwhile, you have the tri-tip dagger. It literally tells you a 10% chance to cause bleed on hit. Well, that one is a static one, so you get 10 of those things, then you're at 100%. So some percentages stay the same, others have diminishing returns on them. Game doesn't tell you that.
You have to find that out the hard way.
Then you got stuff like the missiles. I think the missile's like a 7% chance to launch. And if you get a second missile, it doesn't add 7% more. No, it's still 7%, but now it's a 7% chance to launch 2 missiles. So you got to know this kind of stuff. It's important that you know what all the items do, because some items are junk.
Yep, some can actually ruin your run. So it's very important to know those items.
The lunar items, the big one.
Yeah. Lunar items are a no-go for me.
You just gotta know the right ones to get.
Do you know how many times I've rage quit because I used a lunar item and screwed myself over?
That's why you remember the good ones, Jeremy. The fossil one, that's the equipment one.
I get more versed on my lunar items.
If you enjoy Vampire Survivors, I guarantee you'll love Risk of Rain 2, because it's that challenge you're craving that Vampire Survivors just doesn't give you. And by the way, I didn't mention this, there's permadeath in the game. You die, it's over. It kicks you right back to the main menu.
Good luck, have fun on the next run. You're gonna die again.
Yeah, it's literally all about dying. It ain't like Vampire Survivors where you survive 30 minutes in the milk factory and then death comes and kills you. If you somehow figure out the overpowered way of killing death, then super death comes and kills you. Guaranteed kills you.
I don't think I've made it to super death. Didn't know that was a thing.
You unlock stuff. That's a little an achievement too, I think. But yeah, because you unlock like you unlock normal death as a character, and normal death's like overpowered as hell in a game where it's not very challenging anyway.
Nope. Very slow. Very slow game. Whereas Risk of Rain, you are running for dear life at all times.
Storms are coming, boys.
Yeah,
Now,
like you were saying, Cody, it's got that challenge. It's got infinite replayability. Every run is different. It's it is a blast of a game.
like I said, it turned into like into a big thing where everyone was talking about it and it made the studio a lot of money. So I know they're kind of still looking for ways to monetize it. So there might be more DLC coming.
Which I will welcome with open arms.
Now let's get into the story. The idea behind this game is in the first game is the final boss of the game, Providence. He teleports aboard this ship that you're on, destroys it, sends all the survivors down to the planet. They end up fighting their way and escaping. We get to the second game. It's basically people responding to the distress signal of that first ship. It's got thin lore, but at the same time it doesn't, because this game it does this same thing like the Dark Souls series does, where all the items have all the lore on them. So while you're playing the game, you're getting like next to no lore. You might, if you played the first game, you might notice that when you get to Mithrix, the final boss, he's got Providence's sword outside his arena, so he probably has some connection to him. But whenever you go into the lore of the game, you figure out that these two are brothers, and Providence trapped him on the moon because he was a threat to the nature of the planet. But
What an asshole, brother.
maybe Mithrix was the asshole since he wanted to kind of kill everything and replace it with machines. Ever think of that, Jeremy?
Hey, he's just embracing the future. Can't blame a man for looking to the future.
So, I mean, the first game is like really thin on lore, but it did the same thing. People kind of thought, like, hey, Providence might be an eco terrorist. And then the second game comes around, like, no, Providence was a freaking god. And the problem is neither him nor Mithrix knew how to get off the damn planet.
Yep, so brush up on those logbooks. That's where you're going to get your lore.
Yep. Anytime you get an item's got lore attached to it. It might be something small, like two cargo workers arguing on how the hell this got into the cargo bay, or it might be something lore shattering, what's actually going on in the story. It's not just the items. There's all the monsters have a tiny, tiny, tiny chance to drop in their logbooks, which explains what they are. Every level has a chance of spawning like a expensive satellite scan that gives you the logbook of the level. It's actually really well done. It's why people love the Dark Souls series. Because, well, not just Dark Souls, Soulsborne Ring, or is that what we're calling it now? All
Soulsborne.
yeah, all the FromSoft games do that, where all the lore's in the items. Maybe some NPCs will mention a little bit, but
That's the beauty of it. You got to figure that shit out for yourself.
or just watch it on YouTube after someone's already figured it out for you.
Yeah, YouTube or the wiki.
That's literally what you gotta do, by the way, because people were confused about the whole Mithrix and Providence thing. If it doesn't tell you what order all this stuff's in, so you kind of gotta so try to figure it out on your own if you want to, but watch that video or the wiki in order
There
to
you
connect
go.
the dots properly, because none of the
Because I
dots are
sure as hell
numbered.
could.
It's worth noting that apparently they're remaking the original Risk of Rain. I don't know if it's just for more modern systems or if they're going to add a whole bunch of stuff to it, but we'll find out.
Indeed, we will.
Anyways, Jeremy, final thoughts?
Final thoughts of Risk of Rain 2. I love this game. Infinite replayability, like I said earlier. It's got that challenge that you want and need, like Cody mentioned. It's got a good price point. It's worth it. Pick this game up.
What's the price?
Be miserable with us. It is $24.99 on the Steam store.
They upped that price. I brought that double copy for like 10-15 bucks.
I believe it. Yeah, I believe so.
Let me look at that.
$24.99.
No DLC.
No DLC. But if you want to get it with the DLC, it's 13% off, brings it to $34.78.
It might not be 13% off when we release this video.
True. Full disclaimer. So get it now.
Yep, it's $24.99. But yeah, I think this might be like Factorio, where they just keep upping the price because they keep adding more content to it.
Too. I mean, it's got a ton of content, and then of course you've got that infinite replayability. It's worth it.
And it's worth noting too, it's got remote play too. So, if you want to play with a friend, you both have Steam. Then only one person apparently needs it. My final thoughts, like I said, it's amazing. You get a lot of fun out of it. I think I have a total of, let's see, 137 hours in it. And there's just a ton of replayability. The music, didn't mention that, but it's epic. I know music composers regularly listen to that on YouTube and are amazed by it.
The worlds are epic.
The gameplay's fun. The characters are great. Each one is unique. None of them reuse any skills. Yep, buy it. You will not be disappointed.
You should be disappointed in yourself for not having it right now. So go get it.
Definitely. And we're not going to scale this game because scaling video games is kind of hard.
Yeah.
It's easier to scale something on The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, and Ernest Goes to Africa than it is a video game.
However, we will give it the stamp. It is Tairimo Boy certified fun.
Definitely. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another Tairimo Boys podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment telling us how much you're glad that you played Risk of Rain 2. And don't forget to ring that motherfucking bell. Stay tuned for more episodes.